Hello, it's your old buddy Heisenberg, for those of you who watch Breaking Bad. Now, in the words of Jesse Pinkman, I finally got something nice in my own domicile, bitch. Now, I've been waiting a long time for this one, and it's come a long way from Indonesia via New Jersey, I believe, or Pennsylvania. And that would be the RG9 quilted maple. It's a little dark today in the studio for several reasons. Friend dying of cancer, and you can't tell it's the quilted maple one that doesn't have the bare knuckles pickups. But Ibanez wanted a lot of money, and it was just flat black. And I'm so tired of buying black metal guitars. It's like, you know, I don't chop up babies at night, and I'd like them to put some color in the gun. Unfortunately, all I could get was like a charcoal maple. You can barely see it in this light. Now, why did I buy this one and not the Schecter 9? Because the Schecter 9 has EMGs in it. Okay, I don't mean to upset all my Metallica friends, but EMGs are for bitches, okay, that don't know what tone is. They like output, like Eric Clapton likes output, okay? So I like ceramics, okay? And it looks like either Bare Knuckles made this for them or they just copied the design, because it doesn't sound like mud like the Schecter. Now, I saw a great video on YouTube of a kid who had a Schecter 9 lefty, and he was really good. But I noticed in the mix he took all the bass out, and it was beautiful. He's down by the river, he's playing a left-handed Hellraiser 9, and I thought it was just wonderful. And then he did a little Cookie Monster part, and I thought that ruined it. But that's just me, because I'm an old-timer, and I know a lot of you guys like Cookie Monster vocals. I don't know why. I like Paul Diano going, "Another tomorrow, remember to walk in the light." That's about as low as I like it to go. Okay, but speaking of low, we now have 9 strings. Okay, now the tuners are crapola. I can't tighten them down enough. What do I gotta get? I gotta get Spurzels, break 2 sets up together. God, I'm so sick of modifying stuff. You know, maybe I should have bought the Japanese one and then stripped all the paint off it. Glued a veneer on it, gravier, or whatever they call it in Ibanez. I'm sure it's not maple top. I'd be very, it's quilted maple veneer with translucent black in the gun. Can't you give me purple? What do I gotta wait till next year? I don't understand what those bitches are doing at Ibanez, but they do a pretty good job, because this one's 28 scale. And I think my last 8 was like 27 and 5/8 or 3/4 or something like that. And that was a floppy, sloppy 808 EMG muddy mess that had no high end at all. It was not even good for a bass. And it was active. I don't know what's active about it. Bad tone. But that's just a personal preference, not to upset you Metallica and you EMG guys. I guess Metallica's worked very hard. I don't know, the Hetfields are supposed to maybe have a little more life to them. I don't know. Bare Knuckles, Duncan, some of the German guys, they know how to wind them. Okay? So, California, Duncan, DiMarzio, Long Island. I don't know, Long Island grows a few good guitar players. The Good Rats, if you know them, that dates me. And even Joe Walsh spent a little time in New York. I think he was a Kentucky boy, like Adrian Belew. Kansas. Adrian Belew was from Kentucky, but I think he might have used a DiMarzio too. I know Earl Slick used DiMarzios. Of course, Jeff Beck used plenty of JBs along the line. and now bare knuckles are pretty good. So that brings us to the tone of this guitar and the sloppiness of the lower strings. I have a feeling that this is kind of the one they displayed at NAMM, but I think they threw some bare knuckles in there, or some prototype pickup maybe that they won themselves or had bare knuckles. Non-alcoholic beer to you. The EMGs, may they get usable. Okay, bitches. Jesse Pinkman here, Heisenberg. Alright, we're going to try to put this guitar through the paces if I can find a pick that I can use. Now, unfortunately, I grew up in the 80s, so we take picks like this and we cut them. Paul Gilbert taught me this. I don't know if it's a good idea. Guess you can buy them now like this. I don't know. Then he said he went back to round picks, thin picks for the kind of slap sound. I don't know. Don't listen to anybody. Eddie Van Halen used to say he sharpened his frets and modified his Marshalls. No, he had to repair his Marshalls because he was blowing them up with variacs and light dimmers. Okay, so that brings us to this guitar. Now, this guitar tonally seems to be superior to the Schecter 909s, which is another muddy, bloody mess. But the guitar is prettier. Schecter makes a prettier guitar. I don't want another red guitar, and I don't want another black guitar. Can I have purple, please? Can I have green, a nice green, not avocado from my grandma's house? Help me out here. So let's just put this guitar through its paces. It is pretty groovy. It's pointy. It's the pointiest one I bought since I bought a Gem in 1987 or 89, I don't know. It's really pointy. It's really wide. I barely got enough digits to hold on to it, but let's mix it with a little loop station and see what it can do. Now, I've never played it before. I tried it out at the music store through some shiny Marshall, and I just, but it still seemed to be tight enough. Now, I had to really sock down the end screws on these machines to try to get them to stay in, and I have a little one of the wife's hair rubber bands to try to quiet down some of the slop. But let's just take that off, and we'll just play it raw. I'm going to play it in the bridge position, which means the bridge humbucker, and I imagine it's either a bare knuckles or a bare knuckle knockoff. And it seems to have a good even response. I didn't lose my high end like I do with the EMGs. So, let's just give it a little go here, and I'll try my new Analog Man delay with a Tube Screamer chip put in it, and we'll try it in Super Overdrive asymmetrical mode, and let's just try a little riffing in D and see what it sounds like. Little lot of people tune it differently to try to, one, tighten it up, two, or they drop it down to try to get it to something they're more familiar with. But Ibanez is trying to keep it with the fifths, a la Pat Metheny. We'll call it dark size life instead of bright size life. So anyway, I like the bass response on this very much. It doesn't lose my guitar, and it's not too sloppy. And this is the Indonesian one, about $100 a string. It wasn't the Japanese one with the bare knuckles that was black, pure black. Come on, you know, not just a metal dude that likes to go rah, 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 rah. I play jazz with going rah, 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 rah. Okay, so it passed the Satan test. Okay, it's good for metal, I'm sure. But let's do a little more smooth jazz. Let's try to, I don't know, get some little country twang out of it here. We'll just put, we'll put it on, I guess, just these two coils in the center. And let's try a little country. Minor 6, if you will, a la almond. Eat a peach, baby. Eat a peach, bitch. Now clean this lab so I can cook. I'm getting lost here. I haven't tried to work my scales out on these low strings, man. After a couple of Emmys, Heisenberg and the bitch are alright with me. And so's this 9-string bitch. Although I am tempted to buy Spurzells and ruin any value that it has. I can live with the pickups. Whoa! Can you believe it? A stock pickup that I could live with. I don't know if it's the scale they did right, or they copped the bare knuckles, but pretty good. Pretty damn good. No extra locking jazz. You know, locking a non-whammy. Give me a break. So, thank God. No truss rod cover. I would never like to be the person who has to adjust this truss rod. I'm going to leave that up to Hot Rod. 6 strings, my buddy. But bitches, this one's pretty good. Quilted maple. Could use a little more color in the gun, but for a veneer maple with a light charcoal finish, it'll have to do. At least it doesn't have like blood drips on it, you know. They cut down on the skull factor. As you get older, the skull is less and less appealing. Back in the old days, I had the iron fist like Motorhead. But as I get older, the skull don't look so good. Anyway, Ibanez RG9QM on a dark day that you can't see shit. It's pointy as hell. Look at those horns. They're pointier than my gem. They'll poke your eyes out. Satan, you know? There you go. Here's your horns. Anyway, This one's going to take a lot of editing, I can tell. But you can use this one as an actual guitar. And when you finally work out your pentatonic scales, or whatever scales you like to use, major scale, or I don't know, Hungarian minor if you want. But don't just pick it up and start going. Unless you really like that kind of thing. Then maybe you should buy a Schecter with EMGs that sound like mud. And try to get, what's his name, the guy who's Miss Piggy and Yoda. Get him, he's the actual Cookie Monster, and get him for your lead vocalist. And me, I gotta go back to the lab and start another batch. This is Heisenberg signing off. 9-string love. Maybe I'll leave mistakes in and all, and just you know, until I get those scales down. I had to rewrite them with the 7 strings, and then found out that all my positions had changed. And you really, you know, every time you keep adding strings, your starting position is actually it kind of changes. So you can actually do the pentatonics a couple of ways. If you're working from the high string out, that's one thing, but if you're working from the low string in, that's another. So it does change things. But God, usable bass strings. I mean, I guess they had to make it 28 in order to keep it from flopping around too much. And the pickups are just clear enough so you don't lose your guitar sound. So it is finally a true bass and 6-string. You know, maybe the next one will be a 10, and then we're into the traditional classical. The 9 has been approached by Mike Coppola, a jazz guy, but he strung it with like E strings and then just used all the middle strings for the dissonant jazz, you know, ones. So he could just kind of stick with his root notes on the outside traditionally, and then just have his, you know, his 12s in between, or his, you know, his 6s, you know, minor 6, whatever. So he developed his own style, but Ibanez is keeping it in 5ths. So it's from another planet. It really is. But I waited a long time, and I'm going to try not to pimp this one too bad, but those machines gotta go. But I think for once I can leave the pickups in. Thank God. I'm not looking forward to buying some bare knuckle 9 strings or wait for DiMarzio and Seymour Duncan to finally start winding 9s. It took them long enough to get 8s. So this is a long one. I might make a shorter one, but yeah, they did a good job. Indonesia. But I wasn't gonna pay for a Japanese one with bare knuckles that was painted black. If I have another black guitar and another black t-shirt, I'm gonna vomit. Guess that's what happens. Well, here's Heisenberg. I still have all my teeth. I don't smoke the stuff, but it's time to get cooking. Signing off. Okay. Well, that was a major fail, but I'm in uncharted waters here for a guy who barely got the 7-string down and only pulled out his 8-string about once a year. So, from the 9 down, I guess we got C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, B, E in 9 gauge on the high E. I guess the double titanium truss rod likes 9 gauge. So, I don't know, I just actually use. I can't say that about the Schecter. I don't know. Hoshino, even though they're owned by Fender now, Fuji Kengaki is, they still kept enough of the Japanese warrior creed. I guess you got to drop a bomb on them before they'll totally relinquish all control. With a little editing to edit out some of the really drastic parts, I'm going to have to give this guitar a 9.